Okay, quick heads up here. I made my first drawer, and my first piece, which was this one, cut it with my current setup, or the setup I had before I left it the last time. Everything worked out just great. You know, nice fit. Terrific. Cut my next piece, and this tongue was way thin, so I had to fix it. And what I did was glued in a block here and then just recut it. So I ended up, now I do have a nice fit here. But the reason that happened is that this piece of plywood, I have two different pieces of plywood, I should say I have plywood that came from two different sheets. And I want to just show you the difference here. This one measures 0.6990. Okay, so that's thin. And the piece that I cut before it, one more time here. .726. So what happened is the difference in the thickness, because my blade was set for this thickness, effectively when I cut this I made my tongue thinner. So I've had to go with my next drawer and basically custom fit these tongues because my plywood thicknesses are not consistent. So my first drawer turned out great. My second drawer turned out good because I measured my pieces, and then now I'm getting ready to do my third drawer here, and this one measures again 699 or 690. So I've got a thin piece here. Or no, I'm measuring the wrong one. Sorry, this piece doesn't matter. That's got my groove in it. This is the one I'm putting the tongue on. So these pieces measure, this one measures 702. This one measures 735. So I've got two different thicknesses here. I've got to be careful when I make these cuts that I don't go too far. So that's just a word to the wise for you. So if you're going to do it and make it out of plywood, if I'd done this out of hardwood and everything was plain to relatively the same thickness, I'd have been okay. But these are not the same thickness. There's nothing I can do to make them thicker or thinner at this point anyway. And so I just have to be careful with my depth of cut on my dado setup. Okay, here's my joint, and what I'm attempting to show you here is where this inconsistency can show up again as well. So you're looking at my side here, and this being the front or back. So this piece, because they're the same thickness, I've got a nice clean joint here. It's flush, and once that gets pulled together, that's going to be a nice strong joint. So when I turn this around, I'll show you the other joint. See if you can see this. Get that to focus. There we go. You can see here, this is everything's tight here, but on this edge, that's where the difference in the thickness takes over. Now this isn't that important on this particular application because this being my side, this is where my drawer glides are going to mount to. This being the front or back, no big deal. I can, if I want, I can hand plane that flush or sand it flush, whatever. But you know, if I was putting a drawer face on here, then this could be a problem. You know, you'd want to remove this little lip right here so you get a nice contact between the front and bottom. And I've got the same thing that's going on up here is going on in the bottom. Now the one thing that I will tell you though is that everything, the inside dimension for my drawer bottoms should be identical, because this cut right here is the same on all my pieces, all side pieces. So this locates the front and the backs regardless of thickness at the same dimension. So just a little one of those little hiccups you encounter along the way when you're doing something like this. And there it is. I'm just waiting on my drawer slides. They're supposed to be coming today, but I don't want to cut my drawer bottoms yet until I get my slides figured in here. You know, sometimes they say it's a ½ inch. It could be a little thicker, could be a little thinner, but once I get my slides, I may have to fine tune these just a little bit, take a little off each of them to make them a little thinner. Then I'll make my drawer bottoms once I know I've got everything consistently spaced. And this was just a pure accident that these two pieces ended up being out of the same board or same piece of plywood, that I have this matching grain, and these came from the same piece of plywood as well, so it looks okay, I guess. But you'd prefer to have all of this looking consistently white, or the grain running all this way or all this way. But like I said, it's a shop cart, and it's just going to hold stuff for me, that's all. And I'm not concerned about that at all. But once I come back, hopefully I'll have everything mounted and working. Perfectly matched dado drawer bottoms here. That's one thing I like about this fence. It's easy to do something like this. Now there's other ways of doing it. You can use your router. I didn't want to take the time to set that up, so I'm going to just show you another way that I had done it long before I knew how to use a router edge guide, which was only a few months ago, I guess. So what I do is, first of all, I set my dado blades a 1/4 inch away from the fence, and then that gives me this relief here. So this one is easy because it's a through dado all the way through the side, so that's easy to do. The other one is a bit trickier, and you can see I've already finished this one up here. Make sure I still got you here. Yeah, I've already finished this cut, and the reason I say finished is because I did this on the table saw, and this is what it looks like before I finished it. So you get this rounded edge here coming up to the point where you want to stop. All right, so you got to figure out where you want to start and where you want to stop, and that's easy to do because you've got a definite line here, but you want to do it on your table saw. So here's how I do it. Let me zoom this out a little bit. So what I like to do is, in a situation like this anyway, is I'll set a stop block back here. Oops, sorry. And I determined that by dropping this down well past where the blade is coming up. I had this, you can see my line here, I hope. This was my original setup right here. And then I just eyeballed the distance, you know, it was about probably 5/8 of an inch, brought this back 5/8, brought my piece back, and then re-dropped it. holding it tight to the stop and tight to the fence, and then just lowering it down on the blade. Once I'm finished making that cut, then I just continued on until I get to my line there, which I determined the same way, and then there's my stop right there on that line. And that's the nice thing about this extrusion tool, you can write on it and it's really easy to see. So then once I get to that point, shut the saw down, take it off, and this is the result. Now, this is a thing that I've done many times and I'm confident in doing it, but this setup with this stop block, I've never really had that before. I was always using a clamp or something else really bulky, and it kind of got in your way a little bit, but this just makes it easy. So I'll show you on my next one, my next set of drawers, I'll show you an actual cut. But let me show you how I clean up this edge right here. Okay, I got my piece clamped to my workbench. And this is a critical thing to do. Add this support piece out here to keep this from busting out this way. Trust me, I've learned the hard way on that many times, especially with hardwood, but plywood's the same thing. You've got those plies running through that, it'll pop real easy. All I do is come in here and just kind of rock my chisel back and forth on the line, establish a shoulder right there. And then I'm going to take my router plane, and I got a 1/4 inch bit in here. It's just a little bit narrower than what I'm working on, and just pop that first piece out of there, work my way back. I'm holding up on it a little bit here so it doesn't bottom right out. Looks like I got to come back in here again. Get that shoulder line cut a little deeper. Pop another piece. Now I'm back to the beginning here. Get that out of the way. There you go. So now I'm done. Let me get the vacuum here. So the thing I like about doing it with a hand tool like this, I mean, you could do it with chisels too, but you don't run the risk of, you know, losing control of your router and biting in somewhere. So, I mean, I guess I could lose control on the table saw too, for that matter. But that's a nice clean cut, and it's right down to the same surface, so you're running through here and everything is right where it needs to be. So let me switch this around. just kind of temporarily clamp that one there. Get my support piece in here, and you don't want this to be above this surface either. That's another thing. You want it to be just below or even so that you're not riding up on that thing. Okay, so that's good. Same thing here, just rock it back and forth. This one, there's a little less cutting to do. I should figure out which one this is, if this is the beginning or the end. There you go. Okay, so it doesn't take much time at all really when you consider what I'd have to do the other way. I guess I'd have my router set up, but it'd be one pass. But I like this setup. Like I said, it's controlled and it's quiet. And if I want to put some music on, I can. But there we go. I'll show you my table cut on the next drawer here, but that's a nice clean cut, and it's nice and even all the way through. I guess I got a little bit left there yet. There we go. There. So, all set for the drawer bottom here now. Okay, I got my piece clamped to my workbench. And this is a critical thing to do. Add this support piece out here to keep this from busting out this way. Trust me, I've learned the hard way on that many times, especially with hardwood, but plywood's the same thing. You've got those plies running through there, it'll pop real easy. All I do is come in here and just kind of rock my chisel back and forth on the line, establish a shoulder right there. And then I'm going to take my router plane, and I got a 1/4 inch bit in here. It's just a little bit narrower than what I'm working on, and just pop that first piece out of there, work my way back. I'm holding up on it a little bit here so it doesn't bottom right out. Looks like I got to come back in here again. Get that shoulder line cut a little deeper. Pop another piece. now I'm back to the beginning here. Get that out of the way. There you go. So now I'm done. Let me get the vacuum here. So the thing I like about doing it with a hand tool like this, I mean, you could do it with chisels too, but you don't run the risk of, you know, losing control of your router and biting in somewhere. So, I mean, I guess I could lose control on the table saw too, for that matter. But that's a nice clean cut, and it's right down to the same surface. So you're running through here and everything is right where it needs to be. One thing you do have to pay attention to is if you're using hardwood or any other, even like this situation, I do have this matching grain pattern I want to pay attention to. So this is the bottom, and that means this is the top, so I got to route my groove on this side. So I'm glad I checked, because I picked the wrong side there. So my groove is now on this side. I'm gonna get my eraser here. These things are reversible, but in a situation like this, it's not. So now I know there. Yeah, that's my bottom. I'm gonna orient that to my saw, and I've got to reverse all these as well. I'm on my last one here. I had to change strategies as far as supporting this piece, and I just ended up using a parallel bar edge clamp here. Works out fine. So just pop this last piece out of here. There you have it. I'm ready for to put the rest of my drawer bottoms in, and I just wanted to show you that this drawer is I think it's about 10 inches or whatever it was. I don't remember now. 11. It's 11 inches. That's what it is. So okay. Okay, sizing drawer bottoms for these drawers. That's the other thing I like about this setup. I guess I'll call this the width of the drawer. It's the exact same length, or just a hair under this length, which is 22 3/4. All right, so that it matched, because this nestles into those dados. You want it the exact same width as that. The length of the drawer is from the outside edge here to the outside edge here. I like to set my tape when I measure this one on the 1 mark, and it measures 27 5/16 or 26 because that's got to subtract that 1. So 26 and actually I'm going to call it 9/32. So it's a hair under. So let's call it 26 and 9/32. So I made my cut according to that. I've got my panel here. And let's see how it fits. If you're wondering what this setup is for, this plywood measures 0.260, so it's too fat to fit in those grooves. I had to do a little skim cut on them. So let's put this piece, let's start this way. Okay, drop this in. And then the top, on the other side, I should say. Plywood's got a little bit of a curl to it. Let's see here. There we go. So there, and that also is going to help square up this drawer. You know, if I did my cross cutting accurately, and that looks beautiful. And that looks beautiful, right there. Gotta get it settled into the groove. Can't complain about that. So I've got 2 down, 2 to go. I'm gonna do the other 2. I think must try and scrounge up some 1/4" ply for the third drawer. But the bottom drawer I'm gonna make out of 1/2" ply and cut a rabbet and fit it like this. And then, I just got done making my bottom drawer, and I don't know how to say this, but except overkill. So this is going to be one solid drawer. I've got this 1/2", I keep saying 1/2", I'm going to keep saying it too, 1/2" Baltic birch plywood, rabbeted to fit into the bottom here. That turned out fantastic. And as I put my pieces together here, it is just gonna be, this is just gonna be rock solid. There's just no doubt about it. I mean, I don't think I've ever built a drawer this solid before. Well, I'm hung up on something. Maybe, let me see here. It might be too thick. Where's my problem right there? Right there. Wow. That thing will never come apart. Let's see how good for square up here. Square. Where's my square? There it is. Dead nuts, as they say. I cannot complain about that at all. Wow. There it is. Like I say, that drawer is overkill, but it's going to be on the bottom of this cart, and it's going to take a beating. And now I know it can take a beating. So, if you want to build a solid drawer, that's one way to do it. I want to glue them all up, put my slides on, and we'll show you what it looks like when we get to that point.